Dawn Satellite Channel.
Assalamu alaikum. Last time we were talking about gratitude and all the psychological, health, and religious benefits. So now I'm going to recap on last week because I hope that it got you excited enough to show gratitude. The psychological benefits range from having a really good positive attitude to being an antidote to depression. So if you're feeling depressed, you start thinking about the things that you're grateful for and you start feeling a lot better. It improves your emotional health, so you start feeling good from the inside, and also it starts shifting your focus. So all your attention goes on the things that are great in your life. As far as the health benefits was that it maximizes your medical treatment. So if you have an illness that you're trying to combat and you start increasing your gratitude, that will start affecting your treatment. It also makes you a lot more energetic, a lot more alert, and you will have a healthier immune system because you're not as stressed. And so you will be a healthier person, and also it reduces your stress. If you're not so worried about making comparisons and trying to keep up and complaining about your life, then you're going to be a lot less stressed. And the last part was about the religious benefits, and they include that when you show gratitude, it is like a workout for your soul. So just the same way that you feel elated after a workout, when you start using your thankful muscle, you will start feeling extremely elated. Allah has promised that He will increase your blessings. So if you show gratefulness, then Allah will increase your blessings. The third one was that you will be rewarded. So every time you show thanks, you're grateful for your spouse, you're grateful for your kids, you're grateful for your health. Every time you're showing gratefulness, you are being rewarded. And last was that you will be a generally more optimistic person, because as a believer, we always have to be optimistic. So now that you're excited about being grateful, we're going to talk about what to be grateful for and how to go about showing the gratefulness. Now let me ask you something. If someone was to give you a very expensive gift, let's say it's a Rolex watch, or let's say it's a beautiful crystal from a shop that you love, or a diamond, okay, a several carat diamond, or even a car. If they were to give you this, a very, very expensive gift, how would you feel? Okay, so as soon as you get the gift, there's this feeling of gratitude. You want to thank the person who went out of their way to give you this amazing gift, ranging in price anywhere from a few $1,000s to $100,000. We would show that gratefulness. What about all the amazing gifts that Allah has given us? All of the gifts that He's given us worth millions and millions of dollars. If we had, let's say, just the gift He has given us in our body, it would be worth so much. How much would, let's say, a liver transplant cost? How much would your eyes be worth, or your arm, or a limb? When we start reflecting on this, we see that Allah has given us millions of dollars worth of gift. And how do we show our gratitude? Do we show enough gratitude for all the amazing gifts that Allah has given us? Now, as far as what to be grateful for, and the first one I'm choosing is health. And actually, I did some research on the cost of different kinds of transplants, just to bring our awareness. Because many times, we don't start appreciating our health or a body part until something happens to it, right? You don't appreciate having your good health until you fall ill. Let's take, for example, our teeth. When was the last time that we said, Alhamdulillah, we have teeth? Imagine what eating would be like if we had no teeth. And yet, we don't ever show appreciation until you have to go to the dentist, unless you have a cavity or you have a filling. And so what I want to bring your focus to is that the things that we have are so precious. If you were to replace just 8 of your teeth, that would cost $3,000, okay? And if you were to get all of your teeth redone, it would be $24,000, which is 134,000 guinea, okay? Just for your teeth alone. So the fact that we have teeth and we can chew and we can enjoy all those scrumptious meals, this is such a blessing, and we should show gratitude for it. Now, what about our heart? Okay, our heart is beating. It's beating every second without us even remembering to have it beat. It is involuntarily beating and is pumping so much blood to our body. And what if we need a heart transplant? Do you know that in the US it would cost $800,000 for a heart transplant? That means 4,480,000 guinea, just to have something that we take for granted unless we have heart failure. And now let's take the intestines. The intestine, which we never ever think about, okay, it does all its functioning, but we're never really aware of it. If you had to do a transplant of your intestine, it would be at least $1 million, $1,100,000. And that equates to 6,169,000 guineas. All right. And this is what all the blessings that we have. And we just had a friend of ours recently that came to Egypt who had to have a kidney transplant. And a regular kidney transplant, first of all, you're on a waiting list. And if you happen to be chosen, and if it matches up, then you're so lucky to be chosen. But if not, imagine just the idea of a transplant is at $300,000, which is 1,650,000 guineas. Okay, so these are astronomical figures, and if you think about how we are blessed, and these are just a few items that I have chosen to get us to reflect on all the millions of dollars worth of gifts that Allah has given us, and we take for granted every single day. Now, if you are suffering from your health, and maybe that's the test that you're getting, there's nothing to worry about because there's so many other things to be grateful for. Allah says in the Quran in Surah An-Nahl, ayah number 78, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون. That Allah says it is He who brought you forth from the wombs of your mothers when you knew nothing. And He gave you hearing and sight, intelligence and affection, that you may give thanks. So Allah has given us all of these amazing blessings, our sight, our hearing, and this is all just so that we could be grateful. And I want you to just practice, have a task. This is something I've done with my kids, where you blindfold either yourself or your children, blindfold them and have them do a simple task. I mean, nothing dangerous, okay, but something that just finding their way to their room or just trying to find things from their drawers. It is so difficult. And we have this blessing of our eyesight. And we really give very little thanks to it. What about our hearing? If you could not hear the voice of your loved one, if you could not hear your children laughing or your spouse telling you that they love you, or you couldn't hear all the amazing sounds of the Quran and listening to it and learning. So this is something that we really need to be aware of and show a lot of gratefulness for. Now, there's so many movies that focus on getting your wishes, right? And they always ask, what are your 3 wishes? And many times people's answers range from anywhere from, has to do with attaining wealth or position or beauty or whatever it is. And you see that it's always about something very superficial or materialistic. What the Prophet ﷺ said, and it's reported by Al-Mundhari in Targhib and Tarhib on the authority of Abdullah ibn Abbas, that the Prophet ﷺ said there are 4 gifts, which if they are given to someone, he is given the good of the world and the hereafter. So this is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying, that if you have these 4 things, then you have it all. So the 4 things that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, number 1, he mentioned a grateful heart. That if you have a grateful heart, you are content regardless of your conditions. You are happy here in this dunya and in the hereafter. And you see people that regardless of what their circumstances are, they could have been they lived through a natural disaster. They could have a very bad illness. I had a friend of mine who was just diagnosed with cancer, and she had the most incredible, grateful heart, mashallah. And she always said that I can tolerate anything as long as I get al-firdaus. And Allah yarhamha, she passed away a few weeks ago. But it was such an example. When someone has a heart like that, that they're grateful regardless of the pain, regardless of the financial pressures, regardless of any of the tests, then this is one of the gifts that will make them happy in this dunya and the akhirah. So that was gift number one. Gift number two is a mentioning tongue. A mentioning tongue means that you're always busy remembering the blessings. You're counting the blessings, because when someone is constantly doing the dhikr of Allah and they're constantly thanking Allah, then they don't have the opportunity to do the gossiping. They're not busy about what he said, she said, and they avoid all the harams, because the Prophet ﷺ told us to incarcerate the tongue, that the tongue can be the thing that can take us to the hellfire, because many times people lie, people, they hurt one another, they gossip, they do all of these things. So if the tongue is busy doing the things that will earn sadaqah and will earn a lot of hasanat, then they will be successful. Now the third thing, so we said a grateful heart, a mentioning tongue. Third is a body which preserves patiently in face of a tribulation. That you have maybe an illness that is very, very painful. Another individual that I visited in the hospital who was also diagnosed with cancer and was in so much pain, young cousin of my husband's, and he, imagine, less than 30 years old, and he was not able to move anymore. But yet, he was so content. As we shed tears, he was smiling, and he was content about the qadr of Allah. And so if we can be that kind of person who, regardless of the test and the tribulations, still is content, that would be amazing. And the fourth thing is that having a wife who does not betray him, neither in herself nor in his property. So having a trustworthy wife and knowing that you can trust her, this is amazing. So these are the four things out of all of the wishes and the gifts. These are the four things that will give you happiness in this dunya and the akhirah. A grateful heart, a mentioning tongue, a body which preserves during tribulations, and a wife who does not betray you. I was just talking about the things to be grateful for and mention that health is such an important thing, that all of our body is worth millions and millions of dollars worth of gifts that Allah has given us. And if you stay tuned, we will continue talking about the many things that we need to be grateful for. So stay tuned after these messages.
Dawn Satellite Channel. Dawn Satellite Channel.
Welcome back. We were just talking about how being grateful for our body, all the gifts that we've been given, will fill your heart with so much joy, and that you will get so much ajr and blessings by remembering them. And also, we talked about how the Prophet ﷺ said the four things, if you have it, you have the best of this dunya and the akhirah, which was a grateful heart, mentioning the blessings, and a body that preserves patiently, and also a wife who does not betray you. Now the next thing to be grateful for, which we usually never think about, is being sane, having our sanity. This is something that we really take for granted. I used to work in a psychiatric hospital in Houston in the locked unit, so I dealt with the severely psychotic patients, and this made me be so appreciative of our sanity. And I think that all of us need to take some time and be appreciative of that. It is also such an important blessing to be guided. Imagine how we are saved from so much haram, so many things that happen, that could happen if we are not on the straight path. Because we have our nafs, right? We have the nafs, our inner selves, and we have the whispering of Satan and the shaitan, and they're all coming at us. And if we are not grounded by our religion, if we don't have some sense of accountability towards God, then we could take so many different paths. And you see that there are a lot of people who live their life like that. They just follow their desires. Whatever they feel like, they do. And they end up having so many, like, numerous problems, whether it's health issues, maybe they will go into drugs and alcohol and having multitude of partners. And all of these things, we are protected just because of the fact that we are guided. That if being on the straight path and not worshiping anyone other than the Creator, this is something really to be grateful for. And knowing your purpose for existence. Because there have been philosophers, years and years of philosophers dwelling over the subject of why do we exist. And yet you could ask, let's say, a 4 or 5-year-old Muslim child, and they will tell you we were created to worship our Creator. And so this is really a blessing to have guidance and to be protected from all of the forbidden things. Another thing to be grateful for is your family. Now, I know that sometimes family members can be challenging and there can be sometimes tension and issues, but just think about what it would be like not to have your extended family, people who've known you since you were a child, who love you and accept you as you are. Think about like individuals who are orphans and they don't have that, and how empty they feel. Or sometimes when you move far, far away and you're away from all your family members, the longing you have to be with them. So I think we need to take the time and appreciate all our family members. Be a force to unify, especially. I think we need to be very careful with unifying our husband's family, and that there are many times that wives may pull the husband away. And so we as Muslim sisters, we need to make sure that we're a unifying force, that we are not only taking care of our family, but also the family of our spouse and making them a part of our lives. It's also important to be very appreciative of the educational opportunities. Across Africa, the illiteracy rate in some parts are up to 50%. Imagine 50% of the population in some parts of Africa cannot read and write. And so what is going to be their destiny? What are they going to end up doing? So the fact that you and I have had the blessing and the opportunity to go to school, to get educated, and to be able to read and write, and so many other things, this is really a blessing that not everyone gets to enjoy. The next thing to be appreciative of is security. Security also is one of those things that unless it is somehow jeopardized, you don't appreciate it. And we just recently, with the demonstrations going on here in Egypt, we all sensed that. We saw that. We just took it for granted, the idea of being safe in your home and not having anything to worry about. It's something that you really take for granted until your security is somehow shaken. So we need to just be appreciative of the fact that we can go out of our home and we're not going to be attacked, or when we're sleeping at night, no one is going to come in barging into your home. So these are things to definitely be grateful for. One more thing to be appreciative about is all the beauty in the world. Like, Allah has created such amazing things, and I'm always grateful for the fact that this is something that my mom really helped me to appreciate every little thing. So as I'm walking and I see, whether it's flowers or the trees or something beautiful, I take note of it. And I think it's so important, because I will see a person who is seeing the same kind of beauty but not acknowledging it a lot, and it really makes a difference in our mood. When we are seeing all the beauties and searching for the beauty, it affects our outlook on life. And also, not only in searching for the beauty in nature and the things around us, but also looking and searching for the beauty in each each individual, because each person is unique and each person has a special gift to offer. And instead of being prejudiced against them or judging or looking for negativity, try to search for something positive in a person. I think if you start doing that, you'll be a much happier and grateful person, because we many times are trained to look and capture all the flaws in other people, whether it's our family members, whether it's our employees or our employer. We're like searching out the negativity. So let's try to undo that. I know that it's difficult if you're in the pattern of doing this, but if you try and train yourself, or you have someone very difficult in front of you, okay, but you just ask, what is good about this person? Remember last time I was talking about how powerful questions are. So if you have a person in your life, you could just talk about, what is it that I can learn from this person? Okay. Sometimes there are individuals in our life that are amazing, and so they have so many wonderful qualities, and you can learn to emulate those qualities. Other times there are qualities that a person has that will teach you not to be like that. Okay, there's a Persian proverb that says, who did you learn etiquette from? Is from the person who has no etiquette whatsoever. So when you see them slobbering and eating messy, you feel like, oh my God, I don't want to look like that. So you learn to have etiquette. And I actually, when I was getting my training at the hospital, I had a supervisor, and at first it was a little bit frustrating because she just did not have the characteristics that I wanted to emulate. And I saw that she treated the patients with harshness. There was no compassion. And so I turned it around, and I thought, what can I learn from this woman? Okay, she's my supervisor and I'm here. What can I learn? And I started seeing all the things not to do, because it's just as important to know what not to do. And I think that taught me so much about having compassion for the people I work with, having respect. And I saw such a difference in the treatment. When I would go in and work with a client that she warned me about, but because I showed them respect and compassion, they were so much more receptive. And so we can learn from all the people around us, and we just have to ask the right questions by saying, what is it that I can learn from this person, and what is good about them? Okay, and other than seeing the good and the beauty around us and in the people around us, we can also be appreciative of all the blessings that Allah has given us in all the delicious, scrumptious food that we have. And this is something a lot of times we take for granted because we have so much blessings, and yet you find people who are dying I'm not sure how many minutes, but there is someone dying, I believe, every 4 minutes from hunger. And so this is something that we take for granted. So we just need to be very appreciative. I've even seen children sometimes going into a trash dumpster trying to look for food, and it breaks my heart. And when we see things like this, it makes us, one, take action to want to do something for them, and two, also be very appreciative for every morsel of food that we're able to put into our mouth. Now it's about, how do we show this gratefulness? Okay, so maybe I convinced you, you're excited about being grateful and you know what to be grateful for, but how do you show it? The first thing is write it, okay? Write it. Have a growing list. If you have this list that you keep adding on to it, and I told you I do this with my clients that come in who are suffering from depression, and they start writing down all the things they're grateful for, and that alone makes them feel so much better. Second thing is say it. Say it, meaning that you need to speak of your blessings if you have something. And now you have to be careful with this, because you don't want to be, let's say, telling a starving person about this amazing buffet that you just had. Okay, so use some wisdom that when you talk about your blessing, you're not talking about the blessing in front of someone who is deprived of it, but it is important to remember it and to speak of it. So we said write it, say it. Now the third thing is show it. Show it is by thanking others and expressing how much you are grateful for them. Because feeling appreciated is something that every human being is in need of. Every single person. If you can show appreciation to other individuals, you will have them so contented and wanting to do more and more for you. And this is something that is, it has to be genuine, of course, but if you show appreciation to your spouse, if they have cooked the meal, show appreciation instead of like picking out what's wrong with it. Show appreciation, show your spouse you're appreciative that they're going to work and providing a beautiful life for you, and just have this habit of sharing and thanking the people in your lives. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So this is a saying from William Ward that, so if you feel gratitude, give it to them, because imagine you have a gift that is all packed and you don't give it to the person. The next thing is ask it. Ask, what am I most grateful for? Okay, so we said also prove it. The way you prove it is like obedience to God. When you are grateful, that means it should lead to obedience. And it's just like with parents, that if you want to show that you're very appreciative of your parents, it's not enough just to say, okay, thank you. It's about being obedient. The more you listen to them, the more you're showing that you're grateful. So again, as a recap, the ways to show gratefulness is to write it, say it, show it, ask it, and prove it. So these are the 5 ways. So no excuses. Now you know what to be grateful for. You know the benefits of being grateful, and then how to show your gratefulness. So inshallah, this increases us in showing our gratefulness. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Dawn Satellite Channel.